And William Binney joins us, former technical head of the National Security Agency. And he headed up the technical operations of that agency. He's the source, of course, and the main technical advisor for the film Snowden and A Good American and so many other documentaries and films and books that are detailing that. And he pointed out when he was on with us last Tuesday that it had gotten no attention, that a source had pointed it out to him, that there was a 99-page memo report put out by the FISA court that they had been approached 3 times to do things that they thought were unethical, and they had sent the Justice Department and FBI back before they granted those. We now know the blacked out areas, just as Mr. Binney said, are the president being targeted. And so you have them, that's what's in the new memo that the president now released via Congress today, that they lied to get the memos, they lied to get the FISA court thing 3 times, the warrants. Then they lied to Congress about what they did. Then they leaked and lied about it. And now you've got the entire FBI apparatus at the top, along with Rosenstein at the Justice Department and Orr and all of them, in an incredibly arrogant, incestuous conspiracy that their own texts show that they have committed. So it's amazing. And I was talking to Mr. Binney during the break, and he was blown away that almost no media picked it up last week when we pointed out that this FISA investigation is used as the blueprint to back up what the president has been saying and what the memo itself says is put out by Nunes. But enough of my breakdown of that. William Binney joins us to go over this with us right now. But again, there's the amazing cover sheet by the White House lawyer for the president saying we're ready to release more and to work with Congress to expose the full extent. This is just the beginning. So, Mr. Binney, you had said last Tuesday you hoped this was just the beginning and that you had been told that this larger memo investigation by the FISA court was one of the prime areas tying in and a nexus point of a third party, the judicial branch, now documenting what the executive and the legislative have found.
Yep. Yeah, that's right. And I think the more and more they go into it, they're going to find that NSA is involved in this and that they need to look at which names of people were unmasked through the NSA and which ones were targeted through their collection system and what data they were using internally in the FBI and how they were using that data. That's really where criminality comes in, where you use these agencies against the innocent or against U.S. citizens with no probable cause. That's a direct violation of the 4th Amendment, and they shouldn't have been doing that anyway. They know that. That's why they're trying to keep everything so secret.
There's so many angles to this, but just in general, where do you want to start as a true expert on looking at what historically is unfolding, the debate it's causing? I mean, if we thought Snowden and Drake and Binney, triggered so much of this in WikiLeaks, honorable people, now what point in history have we reached? I mean, this is really exposing the deep state.
Yes, it is. And it's like the first place I'd start is to go after the sworn affidavit that the FBI had to submit to the FISA court to get that warrant. That of course, according to the memo, seemed to focus on the dossier, the Steele dossier, and that was a false basis to begin with, and they knew that. And they didn't even talk about the DNC paying to have that done. So this is paid propaganda used to get a warrant in the FISA court to go after other people in another campaign. And then it means you have to go into the unmasking by the White House of people who were in the Trump campaign, find out who they were targeting and what data they were getting and how they were using it. This is really a mess. I mean, it gets into the total subversion and sedition, basically, and treason against this country.
And what's amazing is those are true words. That's not hyperbole. As I look at the unclassified memo here in front of me, William Binney, and I think about the arrogance and the hubris of trying something like this and thinking that you would have the Justice Department, the FBI, the Democratic Party, Hillary Clinton, all of them admittedly fingerprints on it, paying for it, and then sending it to the Justice Department and FBI when they're the ones that originally paid to have it created, and then going in before the court and perjuring yourself and not saying this is political, this was written by the DNC, this was paid to be made up as fake opposition research. For those who don't know about the law, even if prestigious lawyers or companies or groups want to have something, say, in a Supreme Court case, that's called an amicus brief, they have to state who they are and then put their argument in, because all the facts of evidence have to have their provenance and their chain and have to be accepted in. But to use the signet of the Justice Department and the president, who that's what's going to come out next, by the way, we know that. Trump hasn't released it yet, that the president would order fake garbage put in and use that gravitas with the executive running into the judicial like that. This is an incredible constitutional crisis.
Yeah, and it's, by the way, this is not the first time that the FBI has gotten involved in lying to the Supreme Court or falsifying evidence for not the Supreme Court, but the FISA court to get warrants. Back in 2002, it was in August, I think it came out in the news that the FISA court had found out and discovered that the FBI had misrepresented facts in up to 75 warrants that they'd submitted into the court to get approval. So, I mean, it's not new. This is something the FISA court should already know and know that those procedures are really a hazard and a danger for them to be able to see through and stop. It's just a total corruption of our justice system to allow this to continue.
Well, that's my point, is that I understand if Trump doesn't want to look like he's guilty and then doesn't fire all these other people like Wray and Rosenstein, but law says he has to. He's the executive. They've been caught. He has to fire them all. Hell, they ought to all get SWAT teamed, right? I mean, you got SWAT team for secretly testifying to Congress totally legally about all this stuff.
That's right. And they falsified evidence in my case, too, and I caught them at it, except I couldn't afford to go after them, and I couldn't get anybody to represent me pro bono, or other people were with me, like Kirk Wiebe and others. And Ed Loomis, we all went to the Rutherford Institute and I said, yeah, they did violate your constitutional rights, but it's really going to be a long fight, and we couldn't afford to do that, and we couldn't get a lawyer to represent us pro bono, so we didn't pursue it. So, but they did the same thing here. This is simply a continuation. This is a very bad pattern of behavior by the FBI and the DOJ together.
I watch mainstream TV and they're hysterically lying about everything, but we're here covering the facts. And you're totally vindicated last week, pointing out that, hey, I'm told by sources, this is part of the big investigation. This is the memo that they're going to source connecting where they lied. And sure enough, they mentioned the FISA court and the points that are in this memo at the times they went to get 3 different warrants based on lies. So you have been absolutely vindicated as the person that pointed this out when it was hiding in plain view. And I know you're not about credit. It's just that George Soros publications came out and said that you and I were basically liars and that this had nothing to do with it. But you've been totally, completely vindicated.
Well, I would also say, Alex, that it's really a sad state that you and your program's the only one being talking about this FISA court ruling and all that. So, I mean, what's the mainstream media? Their job under the First Amendment is to inform the people of the country what their government is doing on their behalf. And they're supposed to be investigating. And here they're abrogating that job. They're not doing it at all. So, we should take them out of the First Amendment. They don't belong there anymore. They're no longer useful in that area.
Well, and here you are, the former technical head of the NSA, super respected. Like platinum standard. Everybody admits that. Even liberals have to admit it. And you're saying, hey, this is really key. This is a big part of it. And they just totally disregard, and only a few articles saying, we're wrong, it's the wrong memo. No, we know it's not Nunes's memo, but it's what he sources, and is actually even more important when you get into the totality of it. The security agencies, though, have declassified it, but lower level than mid-level, they've asked attention not be drawn onto this. This is the court saying they came into us and were trying to break the law, which actually makes you think, wow, these courts aren't as bad as I thought compared to these agencies. They're sending out an SOS worldwide, trying to drain the swamp. Incredible discussions during the breaks with Dr. William Binney, former technical director of the National Security Agency. And we were talking about draining the swamp. We were talking about the arrogance of these people. We were talking about where the fight goes on from here. Does this really harm U.S. intel? We're going to get into it all right now with William Binney, with the release of the devastating congressional FISA breakdown memo looking at how they lied to go to court and get these search warrants, true perjury, true crimes, then lied to Congress about it. I don't think the president has any choice. He's got to move. But, Mr. Binney, if you could just repeat in your own words the powerful things you were saying during the break. The arrogance is only matched by Trump's courage. I mean, we have to say it. In the last 100 years, I've not even read about, or even in other countries, something like this. Trump going up against this entrenched state when he could have rolled over to them. This is, I mean, your own words about this, please.
Well, like we were discussing, I just see this as a crack, a little small opening that's coming now, where we're going to be able to see into all the criminality and corruption and simply money laundering and bribery and all that stuff behind the swamp and the secret government that's involved here. I mean, what we're talking about is President Trump having the courage to stand up and start addressing the intelligence community and the power they've been using, like they are J. Edgar Hoover on super steroids, having knowledge and leverage on everyone and using it. And so I see this as seeing the president as having the courage to stand up and start cleaning the swamp. And this is like core to that swamp. Once you start breaking this up, then the rest of it should fall fairly quickly.
And that's what he says in the cover letter, a page and a half. They say, we've got a lot more. We're ready to work with Congress to bring it out because this deals with our national security. And this is our national security. Breakaway rogue groups with a $1 trillion spy machine beyond the Manhattan Project playing God, trying to convert us to a high-tech banana republic.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, if you allow this thing to go on and don't correct the intelligence process and the intelligence agencies, you can keep repeating things like weapons of mass destruction. We'll go kill a couple 100,000 people, or a Gulf of Tonkin affair that didn't happen, and we'll go kill a couple million people. Or you can destabilize the Middle East. You can do all kinds of things that are simply wrong, unfounded, unsubstantiated, and just not moral or anything else. I mean, this is just crazy. We have to clean this up. He's got to do that. And he seems quite willing to do that. And I would be there cheering him on and supporting him any way I could.
Well, we know you've been advising him through CIA Director Pompeo. And what you just said was so profound, I got chills. Because Gulf of Tonkin killed a couple million Vietnamese on both sides, killed, 58,000 U.S., hundreds of thousands horribly maimed, millions, others just totally psychologically shot. That was all based on a lie. And we have the recordings of McNamara and the rest of it from the White House where they fixed the intelligence and made that up. And then you've got things that took us to war, this Office of Special Plans inside the Pentagon, because they couldn't get the regular Pentagon people to lie. So they created a special office. Now it's just a dossier in England made up ridiculous like a comic book. And then they're not just starting a war with some foreign country. That's bad enough. It's against a sitting elected president. I mean, it shows it's really a false flag. It shows how this whole false flag blames the Russians, but the target's the American people and the American recovery. And it just, as you said, it just escalates the hubris. Can you repeat what you said during the break about their hubris?
Well, they are so arrogant that they think they've got so much power and control over everything that they feel they're just above the law. And they can do anything they want. They can lie to Congress out in the open and there are no consequences. They can lie to the president or anybody else and there are no consequences because they feel they've got all this knowledge and power over everyone. So they're just above everything. They are the know-it-all and we have to all follow them. And we'll follow them into these wars and things like that. And the only people who suffer are we poor people down at the bottom of the pyramid, They make the decisions and we suffer.
Wow. And now it's starting to turn around a little bit, and they're panicking, and they're arrogant. But it is the new superclass, imagine, where they can spy on the Republican nominees, spy on the president-elect, arrogantly the day before he was sworn in saying, we got 7 ways to Sunday to get you. We're going to remove you. Brennan said you ought to watch your mouth, and then was shocked when Trump fired him 3 days later. The day before the president sworn in, you better watch your mouth. I mean, that is like lunatic asylum arrogance.
But it's the arrogance of these people. That's the way they feel. They are the ones who have the real power. That's their position.
You don't brag about yourself. I know you received a lot of secret awards and basically were the equivalent of a multi-star officer heading up the NSA. But your credit as being the top codebreaker ever in the NSA's history at helping bring down the Soviet Union, so many other things. Did your amazing real power and ongoing when you left the NSA to expose all this, what, in 2000, did that make you feel more humble the more power you got, or more powerful? Because in my experience, as I get more powerful, I feel more humble and actually scared about it because I know I'm fallible and have issues, even though I want to be a good person. But I know people in my life that are like managers at restaurants who are these prima donna crazy people. A little bit of power, they go nuts.
Yeah, it kind of puts you in a position of realizing the responsibility you have to whatever you say, and make sure that what you do say is true and can be validated and verified, or at least checked, and you stand up for it. And you have to do the best you can to make sure you're only being honest with everybody as best you can. That's all. And the more influence you get, the more responsibility it is to make sure that's true.
Going back to 2000, when you're secretly testifying to Congress with others about all the illegal stuff that was starting up in 2001, could you, though, have imagined how this would happen? And now WikiLeaks and Trump, and I mean, I don't see long-term how this corrupt superclass stays in place when what they're doing is so discriminatory against 99.9% of us. You know, they try to make blacks and whites fight and all this other men and women, but the truth is we have a breakaway super state technocracy that thinks it's God.
That's basically the problem. Yeah, we have to remind them very, very clearly, and we have to look back. We have to look back and go after these people and hold them accountable, because if we don't, what that means is other people coming into those positions will be corrupted by that power too and say, well, look what they did, I'll do that too. That's why I blame what's going on now a lot on Jerry Ford for pardoning Nixon. He was being indicted for what he did on a much smaller scale. It's the same that they're doing today, but it was a much smaller scale.
Breaking into a psychiatrist office and having a list of 105 people that he wanted to be audited. I mean, Obama had it done to tens of thousands. Exactly. The scale is just microscopic.
Yeah, and Nixon was impeached and then indicted for that. But Jerry Ford pardoned him. That took away the accountability for the president. That said, the president really has a get-out-of-jail-free card. It's the next president. Wow.
Film like Snowden that he advised on was amazing. PG knowledge.eu is a plan to have these systems that are ethical and don't give individuals power over others, but actually targets real criminal threats and real criminal operations once those tracking and nexus points have been proven, and then it comes out of the algorithm of the program. You can talk about that a little bit more in the next segment, so find out about that at exposefacts.org. We'll come back to Mr. Binney, and I agree with him. I don't feel worthy to even be at this platform level with somebody like him and so many others breaking so much of this. All right, William Binney's with us for 5 more minutes, and each interview we do just gets more powerful. I don't know what you call the last 30 minutes. I mean, the memo's out. I'll cover that more in the next segment. It's an exact blueprint and sources, the document that Binney brought up last week that no one had covered. And, you know, if a tree falls in the forest, it doesn't make a sound. I mean, if nobody's there, did it make a sound? Yeah, that had been out from the Office of the Director of National Intelligence. No one was pointing it out. Binney did. And the media just went, oh, that's already been out. But no one covered it, and you won't cover it. It's now the source of much of what's in the Nunes memo. Don't you feel stupid? So, Mr. Binney, in the 4.5 minutes we have left, I've been asking a lot of questions here, but one point you wanted to make during the break we were talking was this is hurting the U.S. or hurting intelligence agencies or giving out methods. I'm not an expert like you, but I read the memo. There's nothing there but a bunch of Democrat operatives lying to get fake warrants.
Yeah, it's what they're doing is they're trying to use national security issues as a way of covering up for the embarrassments to people or the crimes that people are committing. And I would also point out that there really wasn't any need to have the president declassify that under Executive Order 13526, Section 1.7, which governs all the classification of documents in the U.S. government. They are required they cannot classify and maintain classified or not declassify any documents that contain information about criminal activity or embarrassment or corruption or fraud or waste. They cannot use that classification to cover that. So in other words, any evidence that they have of criminal activity must be declassified by their own regulations.
And Trump's following that. He says national security has been violated. We have evidence of criminal activity. It is my duty to give this to the House. They have found as I have found, and I'm ready to give more information to the committee. That has got to make the globalists and these corrupt networks crap their pants.
It would, because they've been so criminal. I mean, they have been doing this against basically the entire population of the United States and the world since 2001. They've been doing this. And they've been using it in court of law and perjuring themselves to convict people, and thousands of people are in jail because of this program. So, you know, they have a lot to account for.
I would be ashamed spying on my wife or people if I had these systems. I would be, you know, there's just no honor. And I guess they're trying to recruit people that don't have honor. And then the good guys, I'm told, get kept low level. And then the bad people just get put at the top until you get people like Hayden and Clapper and Brennan, you know, before Congress saying, we've never spied on one American. It's unbelievable.
Well, what they meant was we haven't spied on any, we have not spied on just one American. We've spied on them all. That's what it is. And they're so arrogant, they don't care what they say. They can lie to anybody or say anything they want to, and they don't think there's any consequence. This is why we have to look back. This is why we have to address these issues with those people and hold them accountable for what they did.
Well, I think we've come a long way. We've got a long way to go, but they say the journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step. I think we've gone about 100 miles into 1,000 miles, and we're committed. We're going down the road. I think we're gaining speed. I think a lot of positive stuff's happening. Do you agree with that, A? And then B, in closing, how does the deep state strike back, though? Because you were saying during the break, the FBI is kind of the scapegoat here. You're saying the NSA is behind it.
Yeah, actually, I think we have a lot more to go than 1,000 miles, but I think this is the break, and I think this break now is opening up the real rottenness in our government in Washington and in the agencies that make it up. And so this is where we really have to get to it, and it goes beyond, like, the FBI is the front. They take the flack from everybody because they figure they'll still survive because we need the FBI. But behind them are the supporting agencies like NSA and CIA and others who are actually helping them do and achieve what they want to do as a collective group of, that I call them the Praetorian Guard, who will determine what our government does. And so that's why they think they have so much power. Now we have to shine the light on them and show them out for what they've been doing, and hold those people who did it in those agencies accountable, and make sure we carry through all the law and apply all the law equally to all of them.
So Trump has to fire these people?
I think so.
All right, William Binney, thank you so much. Powerful information. Thank you so much, sir. We'll be right back. Early on, we told you that Trump was putting a focus on and green lighting, going after pedophile rings. We've seen unlimited arrests going on. We've seen just massive things happening, but then no coverage once it happens. So the press has not been willing to cover it. They'll see hundreds of arrests here, hundreds of arrests there, all these children, all these women freed, and then no coverage after that. So Craig had an idea in the last year. He's now put it into action, tacticalinsider.com, vetsforchildrescue.org. There's a new TV program and film they're developing. Again, Craig Sawyer, should have said Marine veteran, former Navy SEAL, sniper, TV show host, you name it, Fox News analyst. I mean, there's so much to cover in your bio. Competition, Top Shot. So again, firearms expert, what got you into this, and where is the rabbit trail from all your sources led you?
Well, what got me into this, Alex, really was having the network of fellow professionals that could help in situations like this, and just having my heart pounded on after learning the nature of this crisis and what they're doing to the children, these child traffickers, after the Trump election and the increase of the arrests on child traffickers. So I just really could not look away, Alex, and I rallied my resources and connections against it, and that's really what Veterans for Child Rescue is all about. We started off to be an alert service, to alert the populace to the fact that there is a serious crisis of child trafficking inside the continental United States. And then we branched out with that capability to do additional things extracting the child victims themselves, arresting the perps now, and empowering the children through preventive educational programs, and one that I found to be particularly inspiring that I want to take national if I can get that meeting with Ivanka.
Because you've got a bunch of things in development. I don't want to give out any of the secrets about the show. I mean, describe the little trailer piece we're about to play.
All right, well, this is a quick snapshot of some of the earlier footage of our documentary series. We've started off with a 2-hour feature film documentary that's going to get at least 50 million viewers, probably 100 million viewers or more. So we're excited about it, and it's an entire effort to alert the populace, show them what the mainstream news media apparently refuses to tell the people. And it's really, Alex, it's a story of me going around the country, dealing with the perpetrators, the victims, the witnesses, law enforcement, and finding out what really is going on with this. And it's a story of my journey of learning and alerting the American people. So this is a quick snapshot of the early parts of it.
So again, here's a short director's cut version. The documentary trailer, the working title is Contraland, refers to children now sadly becoming another commodity, contraband on the black market, as he just said. We've been tweeting that at Ivanka Trump, Tucker Carlson, and Sean Hannity and others to get them start covering it so the whole dam will break. We're going to retweet that right now on Real Alex Jones. So here is a little snippet.
What kind of demand for child sex justifies the number 2 million child sex slaves?
Everybody has access to your kids like they've never had access to your kids before.
The highest child rape consumption country in the world is right here in the United States.
Now, I was really thinking about it, and it's this. The corporate media, the collaborator media that works for the multinational corporations that have pretty much conquered this nation are having their power removed, their monopolistic control. They're still keeping all their stolen wealth. And they're so arrogant and they're so angry, they're putting out the lie, McCain, Comey, Schiff, that this is a nothing burger. This is nothing. This is no big deal. Oh, my gosh. But it does damage our security and let the terrorists attack us. And it's the worst thing ever and the end of our democracy. And Trump's a dictator, blah, blah, blah. Even though federal law, as William Binney just stated, shows that if crimes are committed in the FISA court or in that process, law says it must be declassified. But let's stop right there. The average person will read the nuanced letter by the White House chief lawyer and Chairman Devin Nunes' letter. The trained eye will read it and see something different than what the public sees, but it's all in plain view. Because at this level of fine art, in its vernacular, in its parlance, it is to be done very gently as you slip the knife in between the two vertebrae and the neck. It's done elegantly, not brutishly. And I read this several times now, and it's the letter from the president on the front page that tells you everything. It says, I became aware when I was president through the classified information of your full operations. After all, it's you guys that put this giant spy grid in. You ought to know I have full access to everything. And I contacted the House committee, as I'm supposed to by law, and they got the information. And they concur that there was a criminal operation to overturn my election and fraud and lies, getting the warrants and all the rest of it, which we have the FISA court coming to us in April of last year in a 99-page report and telling us we've been informed by the court. They're prime informant, both in lineage and in importance, the progenitor, is the judiciary alerting the president 2 months after he was in office, January, February, March, April, 3 months, 4 months, in a 99-page report of what happened. Then the classified parts are sent to the House Intelligence Committee. Schiff works around the clock in federal court proceedings to block congressional moves and others to get the Fusion GPS documents that were concocted by the Justice Department, FBI, and the Democratic Party-funded Fusion GPS. And then all of the, oh, my God, we need the insurance policy. Oh, we can't let him get in. Oh, now that he's getting in, we got to take him out. We got to remove him. All that's already come out. That's all in the text messages. They don't deny it. Schiff denied it 3 weeks ago. Okay, it's all real, but it's nothing. It's a nothing burger. That's their spin now, as if you don't have common sense. It's the end of the world, total martial law, Trump's a dictator, but it's no big deal, and this doesn't show anything. So the big issue here is that they're going to say this is nothing. When the president says, I don't want to release all this information, and I don't want to hurt these agencies, but you're trying to hurt the country and hurt me, and you've lied, and I'm not going to sit here while your main operative that Hillary Clinton ran, Mueller, plays this game, okay? I'm not just going to let you march my son and everybody else off to prison so a bunch of libtards can celebrate it and kill the country's recovery. You people are out of control. Stop. If anything, it's very judicious. It's very measured. It's very, there's a signpost, this way destruction. And Trump's sitting there going, I've been down the road. You don't want to go. You're very close now. Smell the stink of dead political flesh? But you look at that jack-o'-lantern face of Hillary or that nutball freak Comey or any of those lunatic narcissist fruit heads aren't going to stop. So now you've got Russia probe lawyers. Oh, Trump might get indicted. See, before they said, oh, Mr. President, it can never happen. Now his lawyers are, oh, it is coming, Mr. President, because they were always planning this, getting up close to 2018. So here's the big issue. This is a giant memo. The cover sheet alone is bigger than the memo because we already knew all this that's in the memo. It just says, hey, the president initiated this. We've got more. That's the big news. We got a lot more we're ready to release. That's A. A is the president initiated this under the law, and we've got more information. And then B, you guys committed a whole bunch of perjury and a whole bunch of crimes in this thing, and we're ready to fight you. And that's it. We've got the intel. You know we've got the intel. We got a lot more we're ready to release. You committed a bunch of crimes. We're ready to go after you even more. Just get out of the way and let the country recover. And we're not going to euthanize the veterans. And Hillary and the Democrats at MSNBC and CNN are going, hell no. So, more comes out. You don't run up the white flag, more comes out. And Soros is already having his assets all over the world tied to human smuggling. I mean, he's been caught shipping in hundreds of thousands out of North Africa alone on those Zodiac rubber boats. That's in the news. The Italian Navy just stopped him 2 weeks ago. Think the Italians got a call from somebody? Called NATO? Called Trump? Because the United States is NATO? See, first Trump threatened to cut NATO's funding off to get them under control. Now we're in control again of NATO, not Soros and the EU. And now we're telling Soros, we're taking you down. You know, there's the headline. George Soros linked to funding human trafficking and terrorism. And guess what? Ooh, some stuff's happening to Soros right now. You want to move against Soros? Oh, what's going on? So there is the compendium of Trump. I know I'm the president. I've got you dead to rights. I contacted the House. They concur. I'm ready to give them more information. I'm ready to move. And I'm coming out against you, and you've committed incredible crimes. Their response is Schiff says, I look like a psychotic serial killer with little weird bug eyes, and I'm on a power trip, and I'm going to get you. I'm not going to stop. We're like, okay. Then get ready. Rack them up, Huckleberry. It's all what you asked for. You're in charge of where you're going. Because Trump knows metaphysically he's got to be the good guy. He's got to be taking the high road. He's got to be the one that's defending. So he just keeps giving them chance after chance after chance, and they don't see they're slipping beneath the quicksand.
I think it's terrible. You want to know the truth? I think it's a disgrace. What's going on in this country, I think it's a disgrace. The memo was sent to Congress. It was declassified. Congress will do whatever they're going to do. But I think it's a disgrace what's happening in our country. And when you look at that, and you see that, and so many other things, what's going on, a lot of people should be ashamed of themselves, and much worse than that. So I sent it over to Congress. They will do what they're going to do. Whatever they do is fine. It was declassified. And let's see what happens. But a lot of people should be ashamed. Thank you very much.
Are you not concerned that the FBI doesn't want the memo out?
Thank you very much.
All right, let's stop there. Again, I cannot quantify how historical this is. Trump is teaching us how to fight again. He is taking out the hijacked networks inside the government that have taken over these agencies and groups. He is removing the poison, in my view. I want to get Doug Hagman's brief take before he takes over in a moment on, am I right in my assessment? And I know he always has amazing intel. So, again, ladies and gentlemen, Doug Hagman of HagmanReport.com. Tell us what you know.
I'll tell you what, I've been glued to your broadcast the entire day. A historic day. You are absolutely correct. This is the biggest scandal, the biggest crime that we have seen, at least in my lifetime. I mean, this dwarfs Watergate. The superlatives. This cannot be understated. The importance thereof cannot be understated. The bottom line here is this: the exposure of the coup, the attempted coup, by the weaponized Department of Justice, by the weaponized FBI, known by certain rank-and-file members of the FBI who are actually white hats exposing this as well. Bottom line, they went after Donald Trump. They're going after the American people. This is an ongoing issue. And also the bottom line is this. People think that this memo, the three and a quarter page memo, is in fact the end. This is just the beginning. And it's going to get much worse. The exposure of the deep state operatives, the shadow government, the people, the swamp creatures, this is going to get much worse. And there will be, I'll tell you what, people will go, and this is what I'm hearing, there will be charges laid against certain individuals within the Department of Justice, current and former, because of this information and information that supports this document. And the names, of course, within the document, as well as those implied, whether it be Bruce Orr or Peter Strzok, they're worried, and they should be. And the last thing, and I just really want to drive this point home, Alex, this is a scandal, crime, more appropriate, that goes directly to the office, or to the White House, to the Obama White House. Obama knew totally. He knew about this. In fact, he facilitated exactly what we read in this 3.5-page memo. He facilitated this. He was a part of it. The presidential daily briefings contained information. And if people knew, this is what I'm getting, if people knew the contents of the presidential daily briefings, they would be absolutely astounded at the level of complicity by Barack Hussein Obama.
You just said it, and that's what I was told by Congress, folks, because they've got those now. The president has them. We'll talk. We've gotten pieces of this foreshadowed by the House Intelligence Committee, by senators as well, that have seen the larger body of the intelligence. This was a very light shot across the bow. The fact that they're willing to fight back, and the fact that they say they have more, that's the big shot across the bow that they're waiting to use, but it's very, very limited. But what Hagman just said, we saw members of Congress, some of which have joined us, saying, oh, this will embarrass Obama. This will embarrass the president and take the shine off him. And that's exactly what we've already seen in the campaign, at the nomination, when he was then running against Hillary as the nominee, and then when he was president-elect. Right before the nomination, they start surveillance. When he's running against Hillary, they open up another warrant to spy on even more people. With one warrant, they can spy on millions in dragnets. That's admitted. So they keep going, oh, big deal, we spied on this Carter, this person down here or whatever. It's a larger dragnet. And then once he's president-elect, they had a couple months, November 8th, until January 20th, and they went really crazy then, but couldn't find anything. So now they had to cover it all up. So for me, the big issue here, and the thing that's hiding in plain view, is that Obama with the Justice Department, working with the Democratic Party, we now know was honchoing this, and I have been told by sources that that's the ace card that Trump holds, one of many cards, but it's the ace of spades, is that the President of the United States, Barack Hussein Obama, 44, call it a royal flush if you want, was getting daily briefings during the last weeks of the campaign and right through on directed White House programs, because we know the people under him had to unmask the Trump folks and were following. They were in the White House surveilling Trump and his family and myself and Roger Stone. That's admitted. But that the president was getting briefings purely political off that investigation, off what Trump was doing, what he was saying, what he was planning. It's not enough that CNN, we now know in WikiLeaks, was giving the debate questions to Donna Brazile weeks before, so Hillary had them, or all three moderators ganged up on all the shows, including Fox. All the rigging, like Gladiator, where he's fighting the five tigers and the champion from Gaul. I mean, it's that rigged, and still he won. Still we won. Still, because we woke up, we overpowered them. And that's what Hagman was just getting to. He's taking over in the next hour. But, Doug, that is bombshell, because that's what we know they were doing in the White House. But that's what I'm hearing is coming out next, is they've got, because executive privilege won't work president to president if it's illegal. The word is Trump has witnesses and people ready to go forward that they were using the White House as a command base with the NSA trying to stop Trump from getting in office. This is 50,000 times worse than Richard Milhouse Nixon. Is that what you're saying from your sources?
100% precisely. And one can go back to November 17th of 2016, when Admiral Mike Rogers, head of the NSA, broke ranks, made an unscheduled visit to Trump Tower. You've covered this. Met with Donald Trump. And in that meeting, we don't know, of course, what he said, but certainly the effects of what he said were clear, because the next day, Donald Trump moved from Trump Tower, again, as president-elect, to the golf course in Bedminster, New Jersey, because of what Mike Rogers said. And basically what Rogers said, and I'm speculating here, is the fact that, hey brother,
and again, he didn't give a heads up. He went there to report the treason.
That's right. And then right after that, of course, you saw Clapper and others calling for Rogers to be fired because of breaking ranks. But all the roads lead right back to Obama, and as well as the parallel roads lead back to Clinton, because with Hillary Clinton as well. I just have to mention this: Hillary Clinton, using a private server, set up Barack Hussein Obama in the White House, communicated from Russian soil on a private server to Hillary Clinton while she was in Russia, thereby enjoining him in this conspiracy where he was powerless, essentially, to sign off on any prosecution of Hillary Clinton in the server issue, the private email issue. The reason I bring this up is because all of these are components of a larger, more widespread series of criminal activity that we are now seeing, that this 3.5-page memo or 3.25-page memo is alluding to in some respects. The surveillance. And by the way, the entire thing, this was a setup. This was a sting operation against Donald Trump, and people need to understand that. This was a surveillance operation against a person without a predicate.
And then they're on record sending in Democratic Party operatives like this Natalia lady from Soros, saying it's about adoption stuff, and then changing the subject when it's admitted that it's their operative, and that blew up in their face because Trump is so straight-laced.
Yeah, and you've got Glenn Simpson from Fusion GPS testifying before the House and Senate, denying that he knows, for example, Natalia Veselnitskaya. Yet he met with her the day before and the day after that Donald Trump meeting where the information was supposed to be disclosed to Donald Trump Jr. This is insane, but this lays bare, in my view, the absolute I can't even find the right words for this except to say this is a sting operation against Donald Trump. This is an attempted coup, an attempted political assassination by the highest levels in the FBI and the DOJ. And look, I'm all for law and order. I'm all for the DOJ. I was an operational asset for the FBI in the 90s. But I got to tell you something. Never would any FBI agent I know would ever put up with this, or anyone from the Department of Justice. This was a sting operation designed to politically assassinate Donald Trump, and it almost worked.
And I was about to say, the recklessness of it is just frightening. I mean, this isn't like lying on intelligence to launch some new war. That's bad enough. You're trying to overthrow an election of people that really want to return the country, claiming they're Russian agents, when you're up to your eyeballs with Chinese and Russian collusion yourself. Here's the thing. This isn't business as usual. Trump, as he knows, cannot allow them to continue on. I get if he fires a bunch of them right now. They go, oh, look, you're doing that because you're desperate. No, it's his duty now as the executive to fire Rosenstein, who we know is now running all this. I mean, it's insane. I mean, it's really insane.
Oh, insane to the max. But I think now you're going to see over the next 24, 48, 72 hours, I think you're going to see people obviously lawyering up, seeking legal counsel. You're going to see some resignations probably next week. You're going to see some people escorted from their offices. Just like
McCabe this week.
Yes. But this will be even more broad, because from this 3.25-page memo, they know, meaning the deep state, they know they've got a lot more, the foundational documentation for this memo. And you went over that, which was a brilliant, that 99-page FISA audit that you went over with Mr. Binney last week. Just take a look at that. And
that's got the 3 cases that were masked, that's blacked out, that when they said this is illegal. FISA was telling the president, sir, in April, this is illegal, and gave him the report. And I know the White House wanted that on the air, and the media just covered it up.
Yep, of course. The media is complicit in this, and when you look at the level of complicity by the media, and by the way, the Fusion GPS documents, and I know that this is kind of being shotgun around here a little bit, but when you look at what's being requested from Fusion GPS and what it was turned over, we saw the credit side of the bank records from Fusion GPS, but what we didn't see yet is the debit side, who they paid in the media to propagate the Russian collusion story. When that hits, and when that gets out in the open, there are a lot of people who are going to say, "Oh man."
Well, that's the word. Congress has leaked that reportedly $2 million through the FBI and Justice Department went to family members that were at GPS or his wife. They tried to deny it, but the word is they've committed perjury. The word is that they have the documents. Is that what you've been told?
Absolutely, they've got the documents. In fact, the Office of the Inspector General, Michael Horowitz, has additional documents. You go back to the texts that were lost, never lost. They've had them. That was something totally different.
Oh, let me ask you about that when we come back. The fact that we're in the middle of a second American Revolution, the economy's coming back because we were artificially suppressed. You've got a crazy deep state on the Chinese Communist payroll, man. They're like puppets. And we are just in the middle of this, and then I see a third of the population smoking the New World Order dope that literally think we're Nazis. And when Soros is a Nazi and running almost all of this, he's like the evil engine behind it, the will. It makes my mind boggle. Doug Hagman, it's just, I don't know how to quantify historically where we are right now.
You know, I was thinking about that this morning, and as the memo actually came out, look, I believe right now, today, we sit in the most perilous time in American history, one of the most significant times in American history. And I don't say that lightly, because I know all of the how this could be blown out of proportion. But when you see the fact that during the Revolution, we did the reasons for the first American Revolution, and we see what's happening today. Look, we don't have an MI5, as Sebastian Gorka had said. We don't have this secret police internal within our government yet. This is exactly what we're seeing having been formed.
You just quantified. That's it. The Clintons had set up a secret police Praetorian Guard within key federal agencies. openly involved in espionage, not against Trump, but against the will of the voters and our republic itself. This is treason.
Absolutely. Treason, sedition. And look, you know, I was joking earlier today. Maybe I should buy some stock in rope companies. And I don't say that lightly, nor do I don't want to sound glib about it. But I've got to tell you, when you look at all of these scandals, all of these crimes combined, and
when
how
the shoe fits, wears it. I mean, look. Exactly. If Trump doesn't go after them aggressively, I don't want vengeance. I don't want to corner people. But they're already cornered. They won't give up. We have to dash them out now.
Yeah, if not now, when? We're not going to have another opportunity.
This is it.
And that's why
God is giving us our one shot. I'm sorry I'm interrupting you. What you're saying is total veritas. This exactly. And look, when I say stuff, it makes me public enemy number one when I say we got to get them. But I just can't lie. We have to crush them, right?
There's no other alternative except crush them or be crushed, expose them or forever lose that opportunity at this point. And this is what I believe. These overlapping crimes. Look, the crimes of Hillary Clinton will come out. The crimes of Lois Lerner under the, I could select any number of names and individuals under the Obama regime. They're all going to come to the forefront. And it's because of, for example, the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence, Devin Nunes, pushing this to the forefront. It's because of Michael Horowitz, the Office of the Inspector General.
I was about to say, if it wasn't for these men and women's courage, we would not. We finally had real people in Congress. So it wasn't just Trump or the media or the people. The planets aligned, didn't they?
Exactly. The confluence of events. And the fact is, and everyone listening to this, we are being presented, all of us, individually and collectively, with an opportunity to take our country back. And we need to do that right now, because if we don't do it now, we're not going to be able to do it. Let's come back
and talk about Trump's like the ghost of Christmas present, ladies and gentlemen. He wants prosperity, and that doesn't fit into the austerity world government view of the globalists that want to make you poor. So, Doug, just recapping the epic moment we've reached. The train derailment, the attacks, the Trump and the Republicans meeting in that bunker yesterday before all. I mean, they know this is all coming to a head. They know the globalists are getting ready to make their move. Mueller is so narcissistic and insane. The word is he's going to go ahead and get that swamp jury in D.C. to indict. I mean, out of the swamp. I mean, I've talked to people that have been there. It's been in the news. They say it's like a Antifa, Black Lives Matter, Gloria Steinem event. And so what happens there? The attempt to impeach. I guess 2018 is everything while Trump tries to right the ship, get the deep state out of total control, turn the economy back on. We've got to watch his 6 in these upcoming elections, where we saw with Roy Moore, whether you love him or hate him, 15 points behind in polls, loses by half a point. Democrats showing up in airplanes and buses saying, we got names of dead people, we're going to go vote. I mean, they stole that election. We now know Katie barred the door. They are total blue wave attack. And if we go to sleep and are self-confident, even though we're having initial victories because of Trump's gravity well, we are going to, I think, lose the big one if we let him get surrounded. What do you think?
Yes, exactly. I think we need to, make sure we are buckled in and our seat backs and trade tables are in their full upright and locked position, because there will be blowback. You can expect blowback from the deep state, from the shadow government. This will not go without response. And we've seen it. We've seen the pathetic attempts by Adam Schiff and others about this in response to this memo. But see, again, this is just the first shot across the bow. What comes next is the foundational documents for this. What comes next is the implications or the groundwork to not just dismantle the legacy of Barack Hussein Obama as Donald Trump is doing, which just infuriates the deep state, but it holds to account those individuals who have really attempted to subjugate all of America to and overturn an election and overturn the will of the people. Look, these people are out for blood. Their death grip on their attempts to maintain power. It's just absolutely incredible.
This is a no quarter given, none received, none given back. This is a death battle.
Yes, yeah, and I think people need to realize the serious nature of what we're seeing here. The people within the deep state, just as we saw Hillary Clinton not going away quietly, Barack Obama not going away quietly, establishing a beachhead on Embassy Road there, complete with a skiff. Look, there's a reason for that. There's a reason why these people aren't going away quietly. And that also goes back to the December 21st.
Because they've committed such massive crimes, their own underlings they're having to pay off, they know will come after them. They've got a lot of guaranteed payments made. And as their Saudi money gets cut off, as their Chinese money gets cut off, as their Vatican money gets cut off, as their EU money gets cut off, as their Hollywood money gets cut off, all the people they were paying off are going to come out against them. So that's why we can't just... They're not going to give us quarter, even though we're kicking their butt. I mean, and here's the deal, folks. I get it, battle. They've already come in, and I'm not going to complain about the stuff they've done. A lot of it's public. Some of it's not. But, I mean, up to 100 journalists, so-called journalists, in the room trying to make me lose my kids. You know, the message comes down from on high, roll over, this will all stop. I mean, you know, and I'm kind of proud of myself. Most men would say, yeah, you know, I'll roll over if you know, leave me alone. Hell no. But the point is, people need to know how serious this is. A lot of us have made big sacrifices to bring us to this point. Me, one of the least. But I'll tell you, the hell the Trumps have gone through, just the experience I've had has been unbelievable. It's made me much stronger and have a much bigger soul. And so I'm actually very pleased. I'm very honored. In fact, I appreciate the persecution. I don't say that to mess with my enemies. It's these trials have really helped me blossom. But people need to understand, this is a real war.
And you know, yeah, people need to understand that this is far beyond the political candidates. This goes into the journalistic venue. People are under surveillance. You're under surveillance. We're under surveillance. And look, this whole thing, what's taking place right now, is to attempt to shut us up, to shut us down, to shut you up and shut you down. Same with us. People like Sean Hannity and Sarah Carter.
Isn't Sean Hannity a champion? He's just
fantastic. Yeah, yeah. And he look for whatever people want to say about Sean Hannity, at least he's the one that's out front covering.
Well, he used to toady around with Bush back when things weren't totally clear. That's but now that it's clear, there's no going back for Hannity, and it's a big victory.
Absolutely, and he knows that. And I know people in direct contact with Sean Hannity on a daily basis.
Yeah, tell folks. You know, I don't want to. The media makes a big deal about it, but I mean, you know, it's true. I mean, and then they spun it and said he thanked me. No, he thanked us through David Knight and others and through some other people. And it doesn't matter. The point is that he understands it now. He understands he was a kind of a good old boy who believed the system wasn't as dirty as we said because he wasn't a bad guy. He is kind of a, you know, Boy Scout, Eagle Scout type guy. But now that the Eagle Scout type guys finally get it's real, they're in the fight now.
Absolutely. And there are so many people who want to take him down, take us down, take all of us down. This is a street fight right now. Now it's turning from the ethereal, if you will. Now it's real. It's in the streets. I don't mean that to say the Antifa stuff, but I'm talking about this is a street battle, bare knuckle battle, and we are in the thick of it.
Let me ask this question real quick. The average FBI person is hardworking and decent and good. We have the corrupt politicos at the top. What percentage would you say of the FBI right now from all your contacts are supporting Trump?
Supportive of Donald Trump? The vast majority. I would say well over 75, 80% in support of Donald Trump in terms of the ideology.
You know, how many reality winners, though, have penetrated the FBI?
Too many, especially at the mid to top level management. When I say top level, I'm talking about the top 10%.